biggest change we've seen is honestly on the consumer side. I think consumers over the last couple of years have gone from offline consumption to online consumption. There shouldn't be any step that isn't unnecessary in a payments process or in a checkout process. The expectation has simply grown so much. We expect products that we purchase online to arrive very fast, within the same day or next day. And so this has been also at the same time a challenge. Within open banking, for example, we of course always dependent on the bank connectivity and on the banks. We as Trustly try to provide the best consumer experience. We have built Trustly Azura, and that allows us to recognize consumers in that sense that the customer journey gets faster and it's more personalized. I think it's a very interesting question and honestly very different changes that we are seeing within open banking. First of all, it's extremely local, right? Even within the European Union, in the Eurozone where we have PSD2 and PSD3 that comply and apply to banks, even there we see very many differences when it comes to local user behavior, but also local adoption. On a global scale, there are two very interesting markets, which are Brazil and India, where Brazil has Pix and India has UPI, and both of them have an extremely strong adoption and very strong presence. The interesting part there is they're pushed by regulators, and I think they even go as far as to say, we're taking your banking license basically if you're not adopting to our product. They have, of course, different challenges than we do in Europe, but basically it provided them very fast and secure payments that are digitally trackable, and they have been adopted massively. And then one of the most interesting markets where we see a lot of changes happening as well is the US. And I think it's a huge surprise because the US has been such a credit card heavy market, but we're also present in the US with ACH direct debit. So it's more similar to direct debit, it's a pool payment. But we do see, specifically in the utilities and biller space, we do see consumers rooting for the option of paying by bank instead of paying by card. And so the general dynamic that we have, that it is local, also when the same regulation applies. But that's the beauty of it, and that's how we're trying to, be the leader in all of those markets. For me, the highlight at FIBE is definitely meeting people in person. I also went to a couple of networking events around FIBE, and it's really good to see the people, that you see on LinkedIn a lot, or that you have email conversations with or virtual conversations, you finally see them in person. And I think that's the beauty that FIBE brings, that within the fintech space, we can all come together. We have an ecosystem here that is partially, startups that were started in Berlin, but we have also scale-ups such as N26, for example, that are really established banks and established companies by now. But at the same time, Berlin is a market where the fintech world meets. So Trustly as well, we're from Sweden, for example, and we have the possibility to come to Berlin and build a market from Berlin because the ecosystem is simply here. And this is, I think, where FIBE is also fostering the conversation and helping technology and the people to connect and to come together.